Paris says everything's off the top of the dome.
It's all good. We are live. We are live. We are live. Good people. It is about time. This is a long time coming, a long time in the making, but we are here. Welcome to Mose Knows. I am your host, Mose. This is our first live show. Excited to be with you. As you see, I got two of my guys here. Really, really good friends of mine. You will see these faces a lot here at Mose Knows. That's why the show is called Mose Knows, with Joe and Nick Knows too. I'm gonna give the floor to these guys to kind of introduce themselves, talk about how we got together as friends, our mutual love of the 49ers, football in general, and we're just gonna go right into it. So OG, just give a little brief introduction of yourself, let the people know who you are. Show them them pearly whites real quick.
Well, most people know me. If you don't know me, my name is Joe. Joe Howard for most people. I met Marcus, I don't even know how many years ago at Best Buy when you were doing the product team, whatever, and doing displays or whatever, many moons ago.
It was around that. That was 10 years ago.
Right.
Because when I was working there, Max was one, like he was just born.
And we just clicked from there. So, and then me and Nick, we grew up in Mount High together. So that's our connection right there. Coached football together, grew up together. That's our connection. My love for the Niners came from Jerry Rice. Who else? That was it.
That's it.
I never left.
All right, Nick, hop on in here, man. Get the people a little bit introduction. Let them know what you got going on.
What's up? What's up, Joe? What's up, Mose? Look,
what's going on?
Yeah, most of you don't know me already. I'm Nick, 49er Faithful 365 on Twitter. Also a host and guy at Nothing But Niners. If you guys don't know, check us out over there on YouTube as well. A little plug there. But Mose has been on that show a few times as well. Just coming on, obviously, to show some support with Mose Knows. I'll jump on as much as I possibly can with you guys. Like Joe said, man, I've known Joe for a long time. Back in childhood days, coached football together. As much as he hated me because I didn't call certain plays and his defense was killing it on the football field. If you guys need a defensive coordinator somewhere, Joe's the man. Just leaving that out there. But no, I mean, we go back. Our kids, grew up together, hung out together. We coached football together, high school, school. And Mose, I don't remember where the first time I met you was. I'm trying to think.
Honestly, Nick, I can't remember either. It's been so long. So Joe was telling the story about Project Team. My first remembrance of meeting Joe was actually not at Best Buy. For me, I think we met at LA Fitness because I was working out with Shaun, and Shaun introduced me to you. And he was like, "Oh, y'all two would get along." And we was like, "Why?" he just said it with like no, additional information. He was like, "Oh, you're both of y'all 49ers fans." And we was like, "Oh, okay." And then from that point on, it clicked. And then from me and Joe connecting, that's how I got connected with you, Nick. I think it might have been, I don't think it was at Buffalo Wild Wings, because when we met, I don't think that Buffalo Wild Wings was built yet. I can't remember how we linked up, but I know we linked up because of your connection with Joe. And
it might have been one of my Facebook posts about the Niners you commented on and Nick commented on.
It might have been. And then we just built up and struck a conversation from that. And then boom, here we are,
Them Facebook posts begin. Everybody, watch what you comment, people. Watch what you comment.
Listen, the keyboard gangsters be out there. But, I mean, it's been 10 years of friendship for us, bonded by the 49ers, bonded by football. But, like, it turned into genuine friendships and relationships. Nick has been out to the West Coast for Niners home games, and he said me and Joe had to do it. So if you've seen, my Instagram post, my Facebook post, Last year was both of me and Joe's first time actually going out to the West Coast for a 49ers home game, the home opener at the new stadium, Levi Stadium. It was an amazing experience that we got to be out there. You can check out my Instagram for all those old flicks, and hopefully once COVID calms down and, people can either get vaccinated or we can find a way to return to some sense of normalcy, we'll definitely be back there again. All right. We don't want to take up too much of y'all time. If you're tuning in, we appreciate you. If you catch this after the live stream, we still appreciate you. We're going to touch a few topics, get everybody's thoughts and opinions. Want this to be as interactive as possible, and that's how we're going to rock it. So first topic, let's just start with the most recent. This kind of affects us being San Francisco 49er fans. We got J.J. Watt coming to the NFC West. New signing to the Arizona Cardinals. He signed a 2-year, $31 million deal with $23 million guaranteed. He said he wanted to go to a contender. Most people were raising their eyebrows by him choosing Arizona. Let me know what you guys think. Joe, we'll start with you.
It strengthens their pass rush. They got Chandler Jones coming back this year from the bicep injury they faced last year. They still have Marquise Golden from last season, who had a good year for them. Hassan Reddick is a free agent. They might re-sign him as well for more depth. So their pass rush is stronger now. And the best division in football, as everybody knows, is the NFC West. So they will look better on that side of the ball. I'm not sure how much J.J. Watt has left, though. He's not going to be an every down pass rusher. He'd be a situational guy, third down, second and long, third down situations like that. So.
Yeah.
He'll make them better, but he won't make them over the top better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Joe kind of hit it right on the head. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade to their pass rush, right? With, we've seen their pass rush last year. Chandler Jones goes down. Riddick, it's going to come back. But I do agree with Joe in a sense as he's not going to be an every down guy over there. But I also think that benefits him because of his history with injuries. So is him coming in on third downs only or passing down situations benefiting the team more, as in keeping him healthy and then benefiting him in his production as well? Because if he doesn't have to go 4 downs or 3 downs, we'll say, that's only going to benefit him as a person and his injury history more than it would if he was playing all 3 downs. We know that when he plays, I don't think you're going to get that high level J.J. Watt that we've seen, right? But you are going to get you're going to get more production than you get from, I'm going to put it here. If you watch the Niners and you watch a pass rush like that, I'm looking at him to get probably, I would say maybe 7-8 sacks a year
I did see earlier, I'm going to cut you off. I did see earlier on Twitter, he has incentives to get 10 to reach $1 million. So he's going to be gunning for at least 10 to get that $1 million bonus.
Yeah. So that makes a huge difference there too. So, but yeah, I don't see him as that, I don't know when the last time he had double-digit sacks was, because he's been injured for the last 4 years. He hasn't finished a season or he comes back late. Does it make their defensive line better? And that's pretty much the main question we're asking here. Yes, it does. And, with the offensive line in the NFC West, with Seattle, San Francisco, I think the only one that really benefits from it and being able to protect against him is the Rams offensively. And now they have a new quarterback there who actually knows what to do with the football. And that was what was holding LA back, was Jared Goff at times. So, but it definitely benefits Arizona, as in the pass rush going against a Seattle offensive line and a San Francisco offensive line. So, yeah, it definitely benefits them.
Yeah, when I saw the move, I had mixed feelings about it. Obviously, knowing where our team stands as far as the offensive line and the struggles that we had, especially if we're unable to bring Trent Williams back, having to block both Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt at the same time on third down. That's going to be tough, no matter who we have in the building. So, I looked at it from that standpoint. From the opposite spectrum, you do see a guy who does have injury history. I agree with both of you. I think limited snaps and not having him, have to play all 3 downs or all 4 downs will help him. But he does have that injury history. Is he going to be able to give Arizona 16 games? I don't know. He hasn't shown that he's been able to give Houston, a full 16 games over the past few seasons. So that does benefit those NFC West teams, knowing that he won't be around for all 16 games. And it's possible that they may not have to face JJ Watt twice or even once. So those are the pros and cons there. I do feel scared for Russell Wilson, though, which I'm happy about. That put a smile on my face. There's a meme going around of him crying, knowing that he has to face Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, and now JJ Watt twice a year behind that offensive line. We'll talk about Russell a little bit later, but as far as him winning now in these late stages of his career, I don't think it was a wise move to sign with Arizona. Yeah, your buddy DeAndre Hopkins is there. You played with him. You guys have a great relationship, a great friendship beyond the football field. Yes, there's, information coming out that he sent Kyler Murray a text message saying that, I believe in you. But is this team ready to win right now? Can this team beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a playoff scenario? Can this team beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in a playoff scenario? Can this team beat Kansas City as constructed right now? Can this team beat Buffalo as constructed right now? I don't think signing J.J. Watt moves that needle. There are, plenty of other holes. They don't have great corners. And, Joe, we talk about this all the time. Pass rush helps this coverage. Coverage helps the pass rush. They have the pass rush, but do they have the coverage? If they're not able to bring Patrick Peterson back, who's also getting up there in age, then what are they doing at the cornerback spot? They have one safety in Budda Baker, but who is playing free safety? Who is that Earl Thomas in the back of their defense, keeping everything in front of them and, controlling that secondary, making sure the guys are where they are? Who are their linebackers? Their linebackers are getting up there in age. Devondre Campbell is so-so at best. Jordan Hicks, so-so at best. Like you mentioned, Hassan Reddick is a free agent. He might command top dollar because of the type of season that he had last year. And the money that they gave to J.J. Watt, they may not be able to bring him back. So there's a lot of factors that come into play where I think if he would have went to a team like Indianapolis, maybe to a team like Pittsburgh to play with his brother, he would have had a better shot at reaching the playoffs, and not only reaching the playoffs, going deep into the playoffs and maybe making it to a Super Bowl to see what he's able to do in that big game and try to bring a championship home. I don't think in the 2 years that he's there, Arizona's going to do enough to get over that hump. I think they can make the playoffs, but when you face those tough teams in the NFC and then have to face a team like either Buffalo or Baltimore or Kansas City in the Super Bowl, I don't think that this move gives them enough to overcome everything they have to in the NFC and then that team that they meet in the Super Bowl. So those are my thoughts on it. Anybody got anything else to add to that?
Well, first, before I go into their chances in the NFC, for some reason, when athletes go to Phoenix, they get healthier. I don't know what it is. I guess it's the weather, the sun, but we've seen athletes in the past go to Phoenix, Arizona, and become healthier. Off the top of my head, Shaq, he had one of his best years after LA and Miami when he got to Phoenix. He was healthy. So we've seen athletes go to Phoenix and become healthier because I guess the weather. I'm not sure. As for their chances in the NFC, they have to first get out their division. Like I said earlier, the NFC West is the best division of football. That's not up for debate. So they have to first get past San Fran twice. Glenn did that once last year. They got to get past Seattle twice. They got to get past the Rams twice. So before they get to become contenders in the NFC as a whole and the league, they have to get out their division first. And there's no guarantee they get out of the division. There's tape out there on Kyler Murray, how to play him. There's tape out there of how to not shut him down, but slow him down. and how to play against DeAndre Hopkins. So it's going to be interesting to see how they progress as a football team this coming season. That air raid style worked for Cliff Kingsbury in college. Teams didn't know how to prepare for it because it's college. In the NFL, you only get about 3 years of the wow factor when it comes to offense, and then everybody catches on. And you got to do something different. We've seen that with Greg Roman earlier in Kaepernick's career. We see it now with Baltimore. You only get a couple of years of that wow factor, and everybody says, I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, people catch on. You got to do something different. So we'll see how they can get out the NFC West before they become an NFC contender.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that he said. I'm not really going to piggyback off it too much, but right now I have the Arizona Cardinals, as teams are constructed right now in the NFC West, as the third best team in the division right now. That's where I have them, and my first and second is the Rams in Seattle, and I actually have the Niners as the last ranked team, obviously because we have 28 pending free agents that we don't know what our secondary is going to look like and things like that. So as the teams are constructed right now, I have them as the third best team. Now, could they move into that second? Do I think they're good enough to get out of the West like Joe's saying? I don't think so. Yes, they have a couple more years and more time in that place, in that system under Kingsbury, but is it enough to get over the top? Is the wow factor gone, as Joe said? Is people going to figure out Kyler Murray? They started to at the end of last year. If you look at his scrambling numbers and getting out of the pocket, his percentages of completing passes, you could see the trend falling off as the year started going on, because Arizona looked really good in the beginning of the year. First 6-7 games looked really good. Once people started putting things on paper and tentatives of how they play, you've seen a big drop off. Now, they had some injuries as well, but not anything crucial. So I definitely don't see them getting out of the West, and I think that's the biggest question, and that's the answer to your question is I think he did make a mistake, because I don't see them getting out of the NFC West, let alone competing for the NFC title.
Absolutely. All right, let's move to our next topic. We got Carson Wentz to the Colts. Now, it's a fun subject, I think, for us to talk about, because for those watching that know, but for those watching who don't know, we are San Francisco 49ers fans, but we're in New Jersey. We're in South Jersey. We're on the East Coast. So a 15-minute ride over the bridge to Philly. I was born and raised in Philly, moved over to Jersey. So we are surrounded by gangrene. We are surrounded by Eagles fans. And like I said in one of my upcoming videos, I love y'all, but I hate y'all at the same time. Eagles fans, y'all some of the worst fans to talk to when it comes to y'all team and when it comes to football. And, seeing what I've, seen and reading what I've read, I know some Eagles fans are happy that Carson Wentz is gone. Good riddance, get him out of here. Some people are worried about the move. They're worried about Jalen Hurts. But let's just talk the trade, what it does for the Eagles, what it does for the Indianapolis Colts, winners, losers, and what are some of the possible outcomes. Nick, we'll start with you.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt the winners of that trade is the Indianapolis Colts. The Philadelphia Eagles ate $33.8 million in dead cap. Carson Wentz has had a really weird football NFL career, right? Because he was the year that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, he was having an MVP year. And then obviously Nick Foles came in because of injury. The thing with Carson Wentz is, can he stay healthy? Reuniting him with Frank Reich is probably the best thing that can happen to that kid, as in for his NFL career. Indianapolis isn't far off. I mean, we've seen what they did last year. And who was the quarterback there last year?
Phillip Rivers.
Uncle Phil.
Right. Uncle Phil, right? And the team was still competing. Obviously
11 games.
Right. Their defense was getting better. They have a ton of cap space this year too, to where they can just continue to load on. I hear from Eagles fans all the time. More so than not, they're happy that Carson Wentz is gone because they all have this love and fond memory of Nick Foles because he won a Super Bowl, right? But they tend to forget that Carson Wentz is what won most of those games to get them in the position that they were in as well. And Nick Foles went to be a starter. How'd that work out? Didn't, right? Got replaced by a guy named Gardner Minshew.
He got hurt his first game.
Right, got hurt his first game and then just never seen it again. So, Marcus, you hit it on the head though. Like you hit the nail on the head with I can't talk to Eagles fans. Like they just they're rude, inconsiderate, inappropriate. Like go to a game and it's even worse. But it's definitely the winners of this trade is the Indianapolis Colts. And I think that Carson Wentz is going, if he gets back with Frank Reich and he stays healthy, he's going to ball out. The kid's going to ball out. He just needs the right setting and the right coach to put him in that position.
Joe?
I think the term I used when I posted it on Facebook was he was going to be fixed. Can't remember. And to pick up what Nick said, he's with Frank Reich again, his offensive coordinator, who had him to that MVP level. So not only does he has Frank Reich, his coach, he also has a top 3 offensive line in the league. The Colts have a really good offensive line. I think I seen a stat a couple of days ago about Quentin Nelson. He only has about 3 sacks given up in his whole career.
Yep.
It's ridiculous, his stats, Quentin Nelson for the Colts. So they have a top 3 offensive line. They have a top 5 to 7 defense. They have a really good running game. And he has Frank Reich. So he's going to be fixed, and he'll be fine in Indianapolis. I think he's going to have a bounce-back season because Frank's not going to make him do a lot. He's going to keep it simple for him. We throw the ball 25, drop back 25, 30 times a game. Simple stuff, simple throws, simple plays, simple everything for him. He's going to be fine in Indianapolis. Sometimes it's a new voice, not even a new voice, not just a new atmosphere can rejuvenate somebody's career. And he's now out in the Midwest in Indianapolis where nobody really cares about the Colts except for Colts fans. So the media is not going to be on his behind like he was over here in Philly. Over in Philly, if he sneezed wrong in public, they were on him. So he's going to be fine out in Indy. Fine. I think he's going to have a really good season out there. Extremely good season. If he stays healthy. And behind that line, he shouldn't get hit that much.
Yeah, that's the biggest caveat is his health. Can he stay healthy? But with that offensive line, yeah, if he doesn't get hit, which I think his sack numbers will be low, and couple that with, his escapability. Let's not forget, that Carson Wentz does have a little bit of mobility. And he's shown that, time and time again, his ability, to escape sacks, escape hits, and make plays down the field. So if he can, return to that form, with that confidence being back with Frank Reich behind that offensive line, it'll be, absolutely great for him. So I definitely think Frank Reich and Carson Wentz are the winners here, which ultimately should help, the Indianapolis Colts. Going back to what you said, Nick, it is definitely hard to talk to Eagles fans. 2 stories. So the first is 2009. A couple days after Max was born, I had bought tickets for me and my dad to go to the Eagles-Niners at Lincoln Financial Field. It was like December 16th or something like that. It was like super cold. And we're sitting there and we're in the third quarter.
Wait, what year was this?
This was 2009. So this was a couple days after Max was born.
Oh, it was in December. I was going to say, was that the November 10th game?
No. It was 2009, the year Max was born, a couple days after.
Okay.
And I was actually going to give my dad the tickets and not go because, Tori just had Max. And she was like, no, babe, go to the game. Shout out to you, babe. So we're sitting there and a couple rows back, there's these 2, there's this girl and this guy, right? And I'm like the only 49er. I got my jacket on, my hat, my red gloves. I got everything on, right, sitting next to my dad. And like they're throwing French fries and like hot dog pieces and hot dog buns at me. And it was cool. It was like, all right, I'm a 49er fan. And me and my dad laughed it off. A couple 49er fans laughed it off. Or a couple other Eagles fans laughed it off. And it was cool. And then it stopped. But then they kept doing it. And the second time, my dad was like, all right, this is getting a little out of hand. And then the third time, my dad he was like, all right, that's enough. And then they eventually stopped doing it. But that is the Eagles. That are Eagles fans for you. They will throw beer bottles and food and all kind of crazy stuff. And then I love her to death. But I'm gonna have to give my mom some smoke on this one, because my dad has been an Eagles fan my entire life. He watched the Eagles every Sunday after church religiously. She has never wore Eagle apparel. I bought my dad jerseys, T-shirts, hat. I got him a signed jersey from Brian Dawkins, pictures from Brian Westbrook when he was at the Burlington Cinema, all kind of stuff. She's never wore a piece of Eagle paraphernalia ever. They win the Super Bowl. She got a whole Eagles tracksuit. She got an Eagles blanket in the living room. She got a little Eagle keychain that she put on her keys. I'm like, stop it. You're not a real Eagles fan. But yeah, I think that's tough for them if we're getting back into football. What do the Eagles do at 6 now? Do they take a quarterback if Justin Fields falls, or Zach Wilson falls, or if Trey Lance is still on the board? Do they take a quarterback at 6? Or do they go to another position? And I would love to hear an Eagles fan's thoughts on this, because if they don't go quarterback at 6, does that mean they're moving forward with Jalen Hurts and they trust him to take over the reins of that starting quarterback job with the way that he played last year, and then coming to a new season with a new offense, a new scheme to learn? What's y'all take on that?
I found that stat I was talking about before I go into that. Quentin Nelson has 2,073 pass blocking snaps, only giving up 3 sacks.
Yep,
that's just one of his linemen.
He's played in all 16 games for all 3 years and only has 48 penalties too, or 19 penalties in 48 games.
19 penalties in 48 games.
48
that's
games.
Crazy. Right. Only 19 penalties, only 3 sacks.
Yep.
Shout out to Quentin Nelson, man. He's a beast.
As for your question about what the Eagles should do at 6, first off, if they're not getting Trevor Lawrence, then any quarterback you get is going to be a project. If it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence, any quarterback you get is a project. Jalen Hurts already a project, so then you have 2 project quarterbacks. One of them has to get snaps, because one of them has to be thrown to the fire. So we throw Jalen Hurts to the fire and he actually performs well. Now you have a rookie behind him that you don't know what you're going to do with. The Eagles have many holes on their team that they have to fill. So going quarterback at number 6 is not the smart thing to do. Honestly, they should trade down for more picks to build out their roster. They have a lot of older players. They have a lot of bad contracts. They don't really have much depth at positions. They should trade down and get more picks and just build around Jalen Hurts. He's on a rookie deal. You can win games with him. If he's not, and you just go out there and get a veteran to back him up. There's veteran guys on the block. There's going to be Andy Dalton's going to be on the streets. Fitzmagic's on the streets. There's veteran guys that are going to be on the street that can get to back him up just to help him and let him be the starter. You traded Carson Wentz. You got to give Jalen an opportunity to be a starter. But you got to get somebody behind him to protect him.
Yeah,
you can't go rookie, though. You can't go Jalen Hurts 2 years and then rookie behind him if Hurts gets hurt. You picking top 5 again the next season.
I totally agree, Joe. Last year, I think Jalen Hurts was kind of thrown into the fire in a system that I didn't quite frankly think that he fit anyway. In a Doug Peterson system. We have to look at all the variables that Philadelphia has right now, right? New coaching staff, new quarterback. Is this new coaching staff going to want the small running backs like they have, like Miles Sanders and those smaller, shifty guys, or is he going to want a power guy? Is he going to change the offensive line, the way that they scheme and run their offense? Defensively, what are they going to run? There's a lot of unknowns with Philadelphia right now, and I think quarterback is the least of their worries because you just drafted a guy in the second round. And you traded up, I believe, didn't they? Didn't they trade up to get him? If I can recall correctly. Don't quote me on that, anybody. But we don't know. I'm with Joe on this. I don't think you go and draft another quarterback to throw him behind Jalen Hurts because that's sending a different kind of message to Jalen Hurts, as in this is a replacement. If you go out and get a veteran guy, oh, this is a guy to come in and help you, where you're going to be the starter, but learn the ropes of the NFL, learn the ropes of the quarterback room. I think that's their best bet because you don't want to fluster this kid anymore. As in, because last year, didn't they like start him, then pull him and start him and pull him? Like you're already messing with the kid's emotions.
He was he was a lot of projects.
Yep. You look at their offense. I mean, their offense, they're two outside guys. Who's their outside guy now? Alshon Jeffrey's still there, right? He's a slot guy.
I think they're probably going to cut him. They said
right, but he's still there as of right now, right?
As of right now, yeah.
Yeah, as of what, March 3rd?
Yeah,
March 3rd, he's there.
Who was the young receiver they took last year?
Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor, which they should have took Justin Jefferson. I don't know why they took Reagor over Jefferson, but there was a lot of bad drafts with the Philadelphia Eagles, like draft picks that, I mean, we could say that with a lot of teams, but no, I completely agree with Joe. I don't think you draft a quarterback at 6. I think if anything, you trade down if there's not a guy that really fits your system, as in, like I said, an offensive guy, a defensive guy, or, anybody but a quarterback and a kicker. I think that Philadelphia can go in any of those ranges right there. They can go linebacker, they can go corner, they can go safety. Well, whatchamacallit, is Mills still there? Is that who's their safety right now?
I think it is Mills and McLeod.
Yeah. So, but still, any of those positions, offensive line, and I'm interested to see what they do with the running backs because Doug Peterson was known for drafting smaller, shifty running backs and not power, like more of bulk power guys, and none of them can stay healthy. So, what are they going to do there? Are they going to take a running back at 6 or trade down to 10 to 12, or they could actually be a good option for the Niners to trade up to the 6th position from the 12th if they go in between that 10 to 13 range to drop down, get some capital back. The Niners get what they want, obviously, and then the Eagles can fill that position because running backs are going to be there. Offensive linemen are probably going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have probably 4 quarterbacks come off the board, probably within the top first 6 picks, possibly 3 or 4 guys, depending on what Atlanta does. But yeah, I definitely would. I think it would be a huge mistake on their half to draft a quarterback at 6. Now, if you trade down, to the 20s, or you keep trading back, I still wouldn't do it because of the fact, like Joe said, you don't want to throw this message to Jalen Hurts, or it could be we're gonna light a fire under your ass. Like, this is a guy that we're gonna bring in. If you're not gonna get this shit down packed, then this is what we do. So you seen him draft a guy in the second round under Carson Wentz when he didn't want it. So
true.
It's a different regime, but still Howie Roseman's still over there. So who knows?
That's the problem with trading back though. With them is their draft history. He's not picking gems.
Yep.
To use our 49ers for an example, our core is based off of draft gems. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, George Kittle, they're all late second day draft gems. The Eagles don't have that on their roster. So you can't keep trading back thinking you're going to get a gem and you don't get a gem.
Right.
So they have to either trade, like you said, 12, anywhere to 15 if they're going to go lineman. Or you can try to get another pick and you go 2 linemen, or a lineman and a linebacker, or a lineman and a late round receiver or something like that. I just don't see them like at 6 getting Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith will be good, but they have way too many holes to fill as a football team. And one of their major holes is the offensive line.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what the Eagles do. And I'm sure we're going to hear about it, good or bad, from all the Eagles fans we're surrounded by. Let's move to the next topic. We're going to stay on quarterbacks. We're going to be talking about a lot of quarterbacks tonight. But let's talk about the most widely talked about quarterback this offseason, Deshaun Watson. He is fed up. Yeah, I see you shaking. Deshaun Watson is fed up with the Houston Texans. He even met with new head coach David Culley and their new GM. Forgive me, I don't remember his name. He met with Nick Caserio. Thank you. He met with both of those guys and said, listen, no hard feelings. This is not an indictment on who you are as a GM or who you are as a head coach. It is bigger than that. And a lot of talking heads around the league have said, if new head coach David Culley can't come in and mend that situation, the situation is unmendable. Now, we've been hearing a lot that the Texans are not budging. Under no circumstances are they trading Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson is taking a hard stance and says, I am no longer suiting up for your organization. So at what point does this game of chicken end? At what point do the Texans cut their losses and say, look, we want him here. He's only 25 years old. He's going to be around for a long time. He's a great young quarterback in this league, but he doesn't want to be here. No matter how much he's going to get fined or how much he's going to miss out on money, he's not going to play for an organization that he doesn't want to play with. And now all his buddies are going too. You traded DeAndre Hopkins without talking to him. You let J.J. Watt go so that he can find a better situation for himself. You gave him that courtesy. At what point do the Texans cut their losses, trade Deshaun Watson, and get the value that they're able to get for him? Because in my personal opinion, the longer this goes, the less the offer is going to become. Teams already know he doesn't want to be there. It's not rocket science. Yes, he's Deshaun Watson. Yes, they're not going to give him up for pennies. But the 3 first-round picks plus second-round picks plus 2 defensive starters that they said that the starting point was at, which is a beyond crazy starting point. You're talking about 3 first-round picks this year, next year, and the year after, second-round picks and 2 defensive starters. That is beyond a ridiculous starting point for anybody in the league. But now teams know no matter what, he's not going to suit up. He's willing to lose money. And he's not the first player that we've seen do that. He's willing to lose money so he does not have to put on your helmet and your jersey. So the price is going to come down. And I think a lot of teams are waiting that out. They're gonna let the draft pass, mostly, I think, see where these rookie quarterbacks go. And if a team doesn't get the rookie quarterback that they need, at that point, they may step up and then offer Houston something for Deshaun Watson. But at what point does Houston cut their losses and say, look, we tried to make it work. We brought in a new GM. We brought a new head coach. He sat down and talked to both of them. He doesn't want to be here. It's bigger than them. It's not a personal indictment on it. It's bigger than it's the organization. It's the owner. It's how the organization is run. At what point do they cut their losses, move on from Watson, let him go to another team where he can shine, and pick up some assets for him? How long is this going to drag out? What do you think?
First things first. We all been in relationships before in the past. We all have ex-girlfriend skeletons in the closet. You can't make someone love you that doesn't love you. Deshaun doesn't love them anymore. Now, he may end up having to come back there based on the fact that they won't trade him. He doesn't want to lose money, or whatever the case may be, whatever he's told on his camp, on his end. So he may have to come back to the Texans, but he's not going to ever love them anymore. Houston is doing a mistake by not moving him sooner. You can't wait till after the draft because they're not getting anything for him. You'll get offered a 3rd round, a 5th round pick, and you have to take what you're given. So they need to move him earlier. They don't pick to the third round of the draft this year. This year in the draft for Deshaun Watson, they can get a first-round pick, maybe 2 from Miami and the Jets, and a second-round pick. So you can already start building your team out with 3 or 4 day one starters in the first 3 rounds of the draft of this year, and you're already on an upward tick to be a good, decent football team again. So they need to move him sooner rather than later. You can't make someone love you. You just can't. And they just, by then, Nick Caserio was on record saying he wants to play hardball. He wants to play the weight game with Deshaun Watson, try to make him call his bluff pretty much. And it's just a bad move. You shouldn't do it. You should just Iron Man's request and trade him. Miami has 2 first-round picks. The Jets have 2 first-round picks. There's 2 picks in the first round of this year's draft for you right now. And Miami's pick is your pick. So they're picking number 3. You're picking number 3 with your pick. At number 3, you can get Justin Fields if you love him that much. You can get Mac Jones if you love him that much. You can get Trey Lance if you love him that much at number 3. And then later on in the first round, you can get a lineman to go with him to help protect him. If you get the Jets pick at number 2, you can take Zach Wilson. So for you to hold on to Deshaun Watson like it's a rookie card that is appreciating with value, is not. It's depreciating every single day. You don't pick up the phone and say, "What do you have for me?" Like he's not the guy next area is not even answering the phone. It's going to voicemail. He's not even answering the phone. You got to pick the phone up.
The funny thing about all this is we're talking about the love in the relationship where Deshaun Watson doesn't love the team anymore. The Houston Texans have to realize they're hurting themselves more than they're hurting Deshaun Watson. And what I mean by that is the way they're treating their players. We've seen it with Tyrann Mathieu first, right? Then we've seen it with the DeAndre Hopkins trade. Then we've seen it with J.J. Watt on a press conference. Now we're seeing it with Deshaun Watson. Those are 4 caliber NFL players. They're not some Justin Brunskills or, Muhammad no-name guy.
They're not me's and you's.
They're elite players that have played elite in the NFL. This is going to prevent people from wanting to go to Houston. So you have to cut your ties. There comes a time where I understand you want to realize it's a business and you have to get back but you have to realize now that you're hurting yourself and the tenure of your football team, no matter if it's 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the road, because these players talk, they communicate. They're not like they're battling each other other than on Sundays, Mondays, or Thursdays. They're good friends. They talk. They listen. They talk, go to CBA meetings. They do all this stuff. It's going to hurt the Houston organization most. And that's not to say – that's basically saying, cut your ties. If you don't get 2 first rounds that you want, get a first round, get him out of here, do him good, because if not, it's only going to bite you in your ass. Excuse my language. It's only going to bite you on your backside. So you have to do something. I understand it's a business. It's a 26-year-old franchise-style quarterback who's going to take another team somewhere. But if he's just going to come to your camp and sit there and sit out, and you're spending all this money on him, and you gave him all this money, so now you're hurting yourself too with dead cap, but you got to cut your ties. There has to be a business decision at some point saying, we need to help the player out. I understand he doesn't want to be here. Let's get out of this relationship so that we don't hurt our relationship with every other NFL player going forward.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is, too, you look at the current players and the list of names that you gave off, and that's a viable list, like you said, elite Pro Bowl caliber players. But if you take a guy who you rarely heard anything from, like Andre Johnson, who's been retired for a couple of years, For him to come out and say the things that he said about this organization and about what Deshaun Watson should do, about what J.J. Watt should do, about how they should move on and continue their career somewhere else because Houston is not the place for that. And as damaging as that was, he could have went all the way in. He could have gave Houston all the smoke, gave up all the tapes, told them how much ain't nothings they are. But all he said was directed to the players. Get out if you can. Continue your career somewhere else because Houston isn't the place to be. And this is someone, the only issue or noise we heard from Andre Johnson was the Cortland Finnegan fight.
Yep.
He's one of the quietest NFL players in the league. And for him to come out all these years later and to help us assess what's going on, Houston has to tear the whole thing down. Bringing Nick Caserio in, bringing a guy like David Culley in, that's a start. Moving on from Deshaun and cutting your losses and saying, look, we're not even in a rebuild. We're in a complete redesign. We're not rebuilding what we had here. We're redesigning from the foundation. We have to start over. And if that means starting over without Deshaun Watson, that is the best option for them, because if not, like you said, free agents are not going to want to come to your city. You already showed that, in normal society, it's flooding down there and all kind of crazy stuff that's going on with COVID. So you have that aspect of it. But when you look at a football player and what they have to deal with outside of Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, being in a building, dealing with these people on a day-to-day basis, folks are not going to want to come and play for your organization, putting their bodies on the line, moving their families to an unknown city, that you are not going to be on their top 3 destination list. You've ruined your reputation with players like Tyrann Mathieu and DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson, excuse me. You ruin your reputation with those type of players. Yep. It's no coming back from that other than to start over. We're coming up on about 45 minutes here, so we're going to be wrapping up a little bit soon. Just a few more topics to touch on. Let's head back to the NFC West. We're still going to talk about quarterbacks, and we're going to talk about another riff. Let's talk about our nemesis, the little short curly haired dude up in Seattle that we can't stand, Russell Wilson. Now he's saying all the right things because Russell is Mr. PC. He's Mr. Politically Correct. He's saying he's not requesting a trade, but if I was going to go somewhere, send me to Oakland, Chicago, like Dallas. He's listing teams that he would prefer to go to. And then this article comes out. And what we see on TV and how enthusiastic he is after plays, you think that there is no issue. But this article comes out and it says Russell got an issue with the head coach. And the head coach got an issue with Russell. They're not liking each other's philosophies. Russell is going into the offense saying, Coach, here's what I think. I think we need to do this, try this. And Russell's being dismissed like he's not a perennial All-Pro. Like he didn't carry your team to a Super Bowl championship. Like you didn't take the ball out of Marshawn Lynch's hands on the goal line and put it in Russell's hands to throw a touchdown pass to win the game. This is the guy that you're dismissing. He's coming in saying, Coach, I think we need to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure it's respectful because Russell is the respectful type. I don't think Russell is in that building puffing his chest out and saying, we doing X, Y, and Z. No. He said, Coach, here's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. So you didn't give Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, the football on the goal line in the Super Bowl to beat Tom Brady and win back-to-back. You trusted Russell enough to put the ball in his hands and throw the game-winning touchdown. This is the guy you're dismissing? And now it's coming out that you don't agree with his philosophies and you're not jiving with him and he's not jiving with you? Listen, man, we in the NFC West. Get Russell out of here. Send him to Oakland. Oakland is our cross the bay rivals, but guess what? We may not have to see him because he in the AFC. And listen, even if he goes to the NFC, he can go to the Saints, he can go to the Cowboys. We might face him, but it would only be one time a year, not twice.
Well, if he goes to Oakland, he's retiring because there's no longer Oakland, but
Las Vegas, you know what I mean. He's going to the Raiders.
No, I know, but he even said Oakland. Like, there is no Oakland, bro. So,
yo, it's probably going to take a lot of people some time to not say Oakland. I mean, why they moved to Vegas, I don't know. Maybe that was a good move for them or not, but they always going to be the Oakland Raiders. But
yeah, well, you know what? They'll sell a lot of tickets just because people that are in Vegas will go watch a football game.
Yeah.
So, but I completely agree with you. But if you can recall, this isn't the first time this has come up. Russell Wilson throws hints at poor offensive line play and the team not upgrading at the offensive line for probably the last 3 years on just little press conferences and things like that. Well, our guys up front have to block better. And it's constant. And he'll throw these little puns in there. And you know that he's going to the coach. And even Seattle podcasters and Seattle fans are like, when are they going to upgrade the line for Russell Wilson? This guy has so much more talent. And they're going to end his career because he's not getting any younger and being able to be as elusive as he was when he was younger. He keeps doing that continued spin. That spin, he's going to get rocked one time. Yeah. And it's going to be because he does it all the time. And you've seen the last 2 years, he's not getting out of the pocket as much as he used to before. And that's because these teams pick up on it, especially in the NFC West. They pick up on it, and they get faster edge guys that are prepared for that spin. But, I feel bad. Look, I understand Russell Wilson or Seattle is one of my worst hated teams that I hate in the entire NFL, obviously. But Russell Wilson is the truth. There's no taking it away from him. The kid deserves to be playing the same as Shaun Watson deserves to be playing on a good football team. The same as, anybody really. I don't even want to name anybody else, but those two players are high caliber players that should be playing, and you should be building a football team around them. Well, guess what? If you can't build your football team around that guy, as in an offensive line to protect him, what are you building around? You're building around I'm trying to think of the rookie wide receiver's name, and I'm having a brain fart. DK Metcalf? Like, you ain't taking your shirt off flexing to Russell. Right? So what is it? Where's the issue at, right? And this is taking me back to like a Bill Belichick, Tom Brady thing. Is there really, how much do they really mesh? Is it just Russell Wilson's around because the owner really loves him? As in Robert Kraft really loved Tom Brady? Is that what this is? And the coach just doesn't want Russell anymore? I don't know if it's that in depth, but I think that, Mr. Chew My Gum that drives me nuts has other plans than Russell Wilson in some shape, way, or form. He has to. Will they get rid of him? I highly doubt it. I think you'll see the coach go before you see Russell Wilson go. But that's just my thoughts on it.
From what I've heard is, since the original owner of the Seattle Seahawks passed away, I'm drawing a blank too. His daughter took over the team. And she's not really into football, so she doesn't even worry about the football aspect of what's going on with Seattle. So supposedly Pete Carroll has a lot of say in the organization on personnel, what they do as an offense, what they do as a defense. And supposedly his offense is very vanilla and very basic. As a matter of fact, we heard DK Metcalf say that on the I Am an Athlete podcast. Play action, run the ball, play action, go deep. It is very vanilla. And Pete Carroll doesn't want to advance his offense. I'm torn whether or not he's going to get traded. I'm all for it. The disconnect in Seattle, I'm for it all. Being that they're in Seattle, I'm in San Francisco. I love it all. Hashtag get Russ out of the NFC West. I'm for it. I don't think Seattle's going to trade him because Seattle as a city loves him too much. Pete Carroll may not like him, but it may come down to we need him versus Pete just going to have to deal with it. And right now, I think it's too late in the game to let go of Pete Carroll. So it's either Russ going to have to come out and say, you know what, I gave it a try. I want to trade, or they're going to have to be like, work it out. I see them working it out for maybe another season. They have a mediocre season this year, go 10-6, 9-7, maybe make a playoff for a wild card, maybe not make a playoff, and then they move Russell next season. So it's I'm on the fence of what's going to happen with Russ. But I won't be mad if he gets traded to Chicago or to Las Vegas or to the Bengals, the Jets, Patriots. I don't care. If he's not playing at NFC West next year, I'm happy. He's my favorite player. Then
just don't trade him to Philly because we play the Eagles in Philly next year, and I don't want to hear
that. I don't want him in Philly. Please don't bring him. Can't have that.
I didn't realize Pete Carroll had just signed a contract extension through 2025. So he's still there for a while. He's got another 4 years, well, three seasons, I guess you could say. I didn't know that their owner passed away and the daughter was doing that, but yeah, that's crazy, man. That I don't know, man. That's but Joe, you hit it on the head. The fans, the city of Seattle loves Russell Wilson so much that if you would get rid of him, you would just cause ruckus, right? We seen when Marshawn Lynch came back, like this guy wasn't even playing football, and how rowdy and how big it was because of the fans of Seattle and how much they loved Marshawn Lynch and what the media turned that into. Could you imagine what the media turned into if Seattle decides to trade Russell Wilson? I think it would be worse than Deshaun Watson.
If Seattle is smart, they will understand Russell made Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was fired twice in the NFL. He was a bad NFL coach at his first 2 stops in the NFL. He wasn't who he is now. Russell made Pete Carroll to this great NFL coach. He made him. So Seattle should be like, listen, Pete, take a step back, let Russ cook what they want to bring that hashtag back, and run a different style offense. Your offense is vanilla, it's very basic. You got wide receivers saying that on podcasts. And this is receivers saying on podcasts. The NFL talks. Just back talent in the NFL that we don't know about. They all talk. They all see it on film. It's very vanilla. It's very basic. Seattle has some very bad losses this year on their schedule. They lost to the Giants, I believe, late in the season at home in Seattle when the Giants weren't even playing Daniel Jones. I think Colt McCoy was the starting quarterback for that game. And Seattle looked very bad on offense. They couldn't protect Russ against Leonard Williams and those guys up front then. So they need to make some changes. Again, I think it will be Pete Carroll before it becomes Russell Wilson. But you have to wait and see.
I think the Legion of Boom made Russell Wilson what he was. And I think that the defense those years helped Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson made Pete Carroll to get to where they were in those certain years. And the defensive coordinator at the time, too, you've seen a huge drop-off since the D coordinator left, and the guys that they have in there, those years. Who was the defensive coordinator Super Bowl year? Was it I know Robert Saleh was on that coaching staff. Was it
I think Dan Quinn and Gus Bradley. I don't know which one. I don't know which one was the coordinator, but it was either Dan Quinn or Gus Bradley.
Yeah, so both those guys were there. So, I mean, here you look at those names right there, and Joe, you hit it on the head, man. Pete Carroll was a non-existent fired coach in the NFL. Twice. Yeah, 2 times.
Twice. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But even look at after the Legion of Boom left. So I think 2015, Seattle was 10-6. 2016, they were 10-5-1. And then 2018, I think when everybody from the Legion of Boom was gone, they were 9-7, right? But after that, they've increased their win total by 1 every year. So they were 9-7 in 17-18. 18-19, they were 10-6. 19-20, in 2018, they were 10-6. 2019, they were 11-5. 2020, they were 12-4.
Right.
So even after the Legion of Boom, and even with a vanilla offense, Russ has got it done. Every year, obviously, when the defense wasn't what it used to be, there was a drop off, and they lost some of those games. They went 9-7. But after that, Russ made those adjustments. Russ got it done and increased the win total every season after that. How are you not jiving with this guy? He's done it with you taking the ball out of his hands and running the ball more than you pass, running with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde when he was there, and any of the other running backs that they had. They're a run-first offense, no offensive line. You finally got him some semblance of a tight end who could work the middle of the field, but Greg Olson's 49 years old.
He's retired now.
And now he's retired. Yes, you drafted DK. You drafted Batman Light, and then you got Tyler Lockett on the outside. So, but Russ has been able to get the best out of what he's had and increase your win total every year.
Yeah, I mean,
it may be an ego thing with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, it may be a situation where we heard with Belichick and Tom Brady. Is it Belichick? Is it Tom? Is it Pete? Is it Russ? So if Pete feels that way, trade Russ, and then let's see what you do with Ameez and Hughes at quarterback.
Yeah, but see, when you have some data, when you have an example, Pete need to pick up the phone and call Bill and say, Bill, how'd that work out for you, player?
Yeah, that's the worst thing.
Tom hoisted up another trophy, and Bill wondered, what am I going to do? Do I bring back Cam? Do I call San Fran to get Jimmy back? Like, what do I do here? So right. Pete need to, like you said, the NFL talk. Pete need to pick up the phone and call Bill and say, Bill, help me out, brother. What should I do? Should I move on from the young fella? And I bet you Bill will be like, yeah, move on from him. Send him over here to New England. We got something for you if you don't want him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, even if you look at Russ's numbers, I mean, from what did you start at, 2016?
Yeah. No, 2017.
So 2016 was his highest year, 4,219 yards.
And that year they went 10-6.
Right.
No, 10-5-1.
So 17, 3,983 yards.
Mm-hmm.
18, 3,448 yards. Mm-hmm. 2019, 4,110 yards. And 2020, only 7 yards less than what he did in 2016 at 4,212 yards. But the difference is he only had 21 touchdowns in 16. He had 40 touchdowns this year. So he beat out his career numbers, touchdown and interception wise, and his passer rating wise was his highest. Well, last year he had a higher rating at 106.3. But this year he threw for 4,200 yards, 4,212, 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, compared to his career year, 4,219 with 21 touchdowns and 11 interceptions with a 92.6 rating. That's 5 years ago.
Right. Still playing
and still
at
playing
a high level with no offensive line in front of him.
Yep. So why would you not just want to fix the offensive line and you'd be that much more better?
And fixing the offensive line helps also do what you want to do. You want to run the ball, Pete. You want to run the ball. You want to control the clock, and you want to use play action. Okay,
fix the offensive line. And it will save your backs from injury because your backs get injury.
Thank you. Every single back that they had, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, Carlos, whoever has been in their backfield has gotten injured.
Yep.
They don't have holes to run through. You don't ever see them break off a 20, 30-yard gain. They're not running for 4, 5, 6 yards a clip. Fix the offensive line. It helps do what you want to do.
I don't even think Rashad Penny has been in the backfield for the past 2 seasons. I can't remember the last time I seen him produce out of the backfield.
Even suit up.
They had some guy named Travis Homer taking carry.
Travis Homer, Chris Carson.
CJ Procise was in their back there.
Procise. They've gone through 7 or 8 backs in the last two or 3 years. And Marshawn
Russell, you can Russell nothing. A bunch of Meason used to work with, and he's been working with it.
Yep.
Now imagine if you fix that offensive line, you can consistently run the ball at 4, 4.5, 5 yards a clip, and then Russ can do what he does, making magic happen, escaping sacks. He's got a strong arm. He's accurate. The kid is cerebral. He diagnoses defenses. He gets the team in the best possible position. And let's not talk about his leadership. His leadership is undeniable. Especially the guys in the locker room knowing what he's going through. They follow him. They got Russell's back all day, every day.
The same. This is really not a discussion. It's really not even a discussion for him to be not asking for a trade, but saying if you want to trade me, here go the 4 teams I want to go to. So it shouldn't even be a discussion. You got to squash that.
Yep.
If that's Pete Carroll, whoever the GM is there, I forgot who the GM is in Seattle, Pete Carroll, you call Russell, you sit down in Russell and Sierra, I don't care if you do it in their house or wherever in Seattle, and you're like, listen, I'm sorry. What do you want?
Just crawl up in bed with him and Sierra, the way he posts videos and shit. So
it goes back to what you said, OG. It's like the Deshaun Watson situation, that's not mendable. That's done. This situation is mendable.
They just arguing.
Yes, we have a difference of opinion. We're humans. Like you talked about relationships, husband and wives have a difference of opinion. We're humans. We think differently, right?
Right.
We have a difference of opinion. You have one philosophy, I have mine. Where can we meet in the middle? Let's apologize, let's make up, and let's move forward in a positive direction. This situation can be mended. It's going to be up to Pete Carroll if he can put his ego aside and really try to mend this relationship. All right, fellas, we over an hour. I mean, we could keep going. I love this. That's why I started this channel. So we can, just come and just talk ball and give our thoughts. We over an hour, so I won't touch any other topics, but just 2 quick ones. Both of you guys, give me your top 2 free agents who you would want to see maybe on the 49ers or guys who you think wherever they go, no matter where they go, are going to make a difference. Give me your 2 top free agents and 1 sleeper, and then we'll go to the next quick one after that.
Mine are easy. One is Trent Williams, based on our division. The second would be Leonard Williams, because you know how I love defense and the big uglies up front. And the third is probably the lineman, Brandon Sheriff, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I don't like drafting linemen or signing offensive linemen, but again, in our division, we need to strengthen our offensive line. If Jimmy's going to be our quarterback, we got to put him in a bubble. And we start that by protecting him up front with offensive linemen and with defensive linemen getting a pass rush. Then it didn't matter who you got on the back end. So those are my 3 free agents. My choice. What you want? 3 draft crushers or 1?
We'll go to that next.
All right.
We'll hit that next. Nick, give me your 2 top free agents and a sleeper.
Oh man, that's a hard one. A sleeper as in I would wish he comes here, or somebody that's under the radar that
somebody that's under the radar that's probably not going to get top dollar on the first few days of free agency, but when that player does sign, it'll be big for either us or any team that signs him, and they'll get him at a bargain rate.
Oh man, that's a hard one. All right, let me go with I'm going to agree with Joe. I think Trent Williams needs to come back. I think that's huge. I was going to use him as a sleeper, but he's not a sleeper. Trent Williams, and I'd go with you said Leonard Williams. I would want to say Alex Mack with the things of, Weston Richburg having another surgery today. You fill in a guy who knows the system, and I think a lot of our miscues on the offensive line last year was because of who was filling in at center. They weren't an actual center. And our offensive line played a lot better when Weston Richburg was in there. He knows the coverages. He knows the calls. Knows what the scheme is to call out and coverages and things like that. And I think you've seen Trent Williams kind of hitting at that last year. It was like, that wasn't my fault. That was just the coverages. We couldn't hear what the coverages call were, or this or that. And those guys all work off the center. So as much as it sucks I don't want to bring in a rookie offensive lineman. I would love to bring in Trent Williams and go after Alex Mack. And I think that shores up the offensive line pretty well. Sleeper. Oh man. Who did you say, Joe? Brandon Scherf?
I think it's Brandon Scherf.
The offensive guard?
Yeah, it's another offensive lineman. Which is big for me because I don't like linemen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's Brandon Scherf.
I could just see wherever he signed somebody coming up with, like, whatever that team is, like, there's a new sheriff in town. I could definitely see that be the tagline when he gets signed.
Sleeper. Corey Davis.
The wide receiver?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I don't think he'll demand a whole lot of money, and I think a scheme change for him will fit. And I think he would fit right in with Kyle Shanahan's system. So,
yeah, man, he's a big body wide receiver. He's got speed. He's got hands. Yep. I just think Tennessee wasn't able to utilize him properly. But, yeah, if he goes to a good team, a good offensive coordinator who could scheme him open, I think that would probably do wonders for him in his career. All right, my two-time free agents. For those who don't know a little bit about me, I'm a big fella, right? In my mind, I'm a wide receiver, but in my body, I'm a defensive tackle. So with that being said, I'm gonna stay on the defensive side of the ball. Shit, Eljo. You heard me say that before. I'm gonna go with defensive side of the ball. So my two top free agents, one is Shaq Barrett. You've seen what he's been able to do in Denver. He's brought that same production over to Tampa. And Tampa Bay showed what you talked about, OG. It's pass rush helps coverage, coverage helps pass rush. And Todd Bowles schemed them fellas up to completely shut down the Kansas City Chiefs. So, even outside of the 49ers, if you could bring in a guy like Shaq Barrett and have him rush the passer for you, it does wonders for what you can do to the opposing quarterback, and it can only help your secondary out. Along those same lines, I like a young guy out of Cincinnati in Carl Lawson. I think a new defensive scheme will also help him. The kid's got ability. He's got talent. He's explosive. He's got a motor. I think for us and the 49ers, I think that would be a good signing for us and have him replace somebody like D Ford, who we know is not coming back. I don't even want to get into that topic. He needs to go. The money is tricky with his injury guarantees.
I feel differently on that with you. I think he's coming back because it's going to cost us too much money to get rid of him.
Yeah, but is he even going to pass the physical?
If he doesn't, he gets injury guarantee. He gets $11.4 million guaranteed money. So either way, I don't think D Ford's going anywhere this year. Next year, yeah. This year, I think they're going to have to eat the bullet and keep him on the roster.
KC fleeced us then. Because the reason why they traded him was this exact reason. He had one good season. His numbers was up. They moved him when his value was the highest. And they played the probability game. Is D Ford going to do this again? Is it more likely that he has another season like this, or is it more likely that he gets injured? The probability of him getting injured was higher. They moved him at his highest, fleeced us for a second-round pick, and now we're stuck with a player who's not going to be on the field, not going to give us a full 16 games, and we're paying him double-digit $1 million. It's ridiculous. But Carl Lawson, I think if he doesn't come to us, finding a good system that will allow him, to use those pass rushing moves, I think is great. Shout out to Miss Deb. Miss Deb done showed up. Y'all don't know Miss Deb. Miss Deb is a 49ers fan. She is a consistent presence on Nothing But Niners. Every time I've been on the show, Miss Deb has showed great love. As you see Nick blowing a kiss. Shout out to Miss Deb is in here. I'm so glad you were able to stop in and catch the show. And then my sleeper is going to be Malik Hooker, safety from Indy. Now, safety.
He's had 2 really, really bad injuries in his career, though.
I know, and that's why I think he's a sleeper. Because we saw Richard Sherman come back from the Achilles injury. Now, Richard Sherman was never known.
Hooker had an Achilles and an ACL.
I know. But if he can find a way to stay healthy, we said the same thing about Jason Verrett. It took him a while, but enough. Jason Verrett returned to the type of cornerback that he was when he was with the Chargers. So that's why I said he's a sleeper. We don't know what his health is going to be, but he's not going to command top dollar because of the ACL and Achilles injuries. But if he can find some way to stay healthy, and he's playing in a defense where if he's the free safety on the back end that's just keeping everything in front of him, he doesn't have to run stride for stride with the likes of, Tyreek Hill and, Henry Ruggs. He's that free safety manning that back third, keeping everything in front of him, using his instincts to make a play on the ball. I think as long as he can stay healthy, that's the biggest caveat. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a solid pickup for any team that drafts him. So that's why he's my sleeper. All right. And last but not least, and we'll wrap this up here. Give me your draft crush, 1 or 2 guys who, you want us to take, or, if you were number 1, number 2, number 3, had a better pick, or a guy you would trade up for. Give me a draft crush this year as we get closer and closer to the 2021 draft.
Well, first off, I don't care about nobody else in the draft. Team-wise, I don't care about my team. For us, my draft crush is Trevor Lawrence, but there's no way we're getting him. So for us, and based off of need or fit, I love Kyle Pitts from Florida. Because he's not only going to be inside with his hand in the dirt like George. We can split him out wide. We can split him on the same side with George, and you don't know what to do.
Fullback.
Like, I like Kyle Pitts. Like, I like him a lot. I think drafting him, if he's there at 12, will be a steal for us. Staying on my topic, I love defense. Kwity Paye from Michigan, another good guy on the outside, on the other side from Nick Bosa. And
that's about the only Michigan player I've ever liked coming out.
You knew he was going to throw his Michigan guy in there. You knew he was going to do it.
I also like the kid from Miami as well, Gregory Rousseau. 6'5", big kid, long. And last but not least, I like Micah Parsons from Penn State, the linebacker. They're all fit. They're all need for us. They're all fit as well. Like, Parsons is coming in and be on the other side of Dre. It's come in for Dre, come in for Fred. Kwity Paye will come in for Nick Bosa, another bookend. Same thing with Gregory Rousseau. And number one is Kyle Pitts. You can put him anywhere. And Kyle make him a stud.
Yeah, Rousseau's a big dude too. He's 6'7" too.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. Mine's got to be the first guy has to be Kyle Pitts also. I mean, I just said it on my show last night that I think this guy's going to be better than George Kittle is in the NFL. And that's just because of the type of college system that he's coming out of. He has more receiving yards. He has more of that receiver capabilities than George Kittle did coming out of Iowa. I mean, he had 400 yards his entire career in Iowa, right, as a receiver. And, you get drafted in the 5th round, and this hidden talent is there, right? So Kyle Pitts is a total different guy. He does it all. Like you said, hand down in the dirt, can split out wide, can play fullback, can catch the football, has good speed, has good hands, goes up for the football. So eventually I think if he's in the right system, he's going to be another George Kittle in the NFL, if not better. And I kind of got, laughed at with that last night, but it's the truth. You watch the tape. Like, the kid is more in tune going into the NFL than George Kittle was coming into the NFL. Now, if his work ethic is there and stuff like that, there's no way in hell that we're not talking about Kyle Pitts as one of the, better tight ends, if not close in the next 5 years, as in who's the best tight end in the NFL.
He's in that mold of Travis Kelce and George Kittle. Yeah, and Darren Waller from Vegas.
Yeah, Waller too. Yep, from Vegas. Those guys are all like, you don't hear about. You go back to the 2 tight ends that came from Iowa last year, Noah Fant and
Hockenson.
TJ Hockenson.
Yeah,
TJ Hockenson.
TJ Hockenson, right? Well, one got an injury, but you see that they have to progress.
Yeah.
So, and they were the 2 top tight ends coming out last year. Like, they could go 5, 6, 7, 8, but Kyle Pitts isn't one of those guys. He's coming from a better system, more of a suited system for a receiver, can block, he can do it all. So definitely my biggest draft crush is Kyle Pitts. My other one, oh man. I do like Micah Parsons. I do like him. I do like Jamar Chase. And then I know we're not going running back or anything like that, so I'm not going to stay there. But Penei Sewell is another good one.
He'll be gone now.
Yeah, he'll definitely be gone. Yeah. Quarterback wise, I know I'm an Ohio State fan, and it'd be homer of me to say Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has the talent and the ability to be a good NFL football quarterback, but Ohio State just doesn't produce good quarterbacks in the NFL. So that scares me. Now, if you go back and you look at Justin Fields, he's been working with Kyle Shanahan all 4 years of high school at his quarterback camp, things like that. So he may be a different guy. I think he will be one of the first guys to actually succeed in the NFL, but I think it may take him a year or two to progress. So as much as I love Ohio State, I love Justin Fields. I've watched Ohio State football for a long time, and we have great quarterbacks in college, and they go to the NFL and they're flukes. So, but I do like what Justin Fields has talent-wise. And if I had to take a quarterback, obviously it'd be Trevor Lawrence. But Zach Wilson, I don't think fits our system at all. I know a lot of people are saying Zach Wilson, but I'm not big on Zach Wilson for us. So
he is a draft darling. He's high on a lot of draft boards.
Yeah, he is. He's very high, but I think he's going to take the right system. Like he's not, that's another thing like Mac Jones. Mac Jones is probably going to go way higher than he should because he's only played half a season in college football, and you don't really have a whole lot of tape on him. But from the tape that he did put out, he's going to go higher than what he should.
Yeah, he is.
So, it's just it sucks because this was his first year starting. He would have got a full year, but COVID hit, and you get 8 games he's played,
something like that, 8 or 10 or something like that. They played a lot of games.
Yeah. So, what does that? And there's no combine. There's no, all that stuff. It's all basic off tape this year. So a lot of guys are going to get drafted in positions that they don't deserve to be drafted in. And a lot of those guys, I said this on our show a couple weeks ago. The question was, do you think it benefits the players or the team when it comes to drafting with no combine and no thing? And I said, I think it kind of helps both because one, it's making the team watch more tape and learn more about these guys instead of just seeing highlights in this game or watching this one game, or you're going back to watch tape on this guy and see consistencies and inconsistencies with that guy. But I think a lot of guys it's going to hurt is guys that were projected to go higher, but then these coaches start digging into their tape and they go way lower than what they're expected to because of tape, because tape tells it all. And now I'm sure these guys have been watching tape for way longer than what they normally do because of they have to go back years. They don't just watch this year.
Yeah.
So I think this year should be very interesting to see who drops and who rises on people's draft boards. It's going to be an interesting draft. Sure.
It is. I think it is.
That was a long-winded answer, so my bad, guys.
No, it's all good. So I'm gonna give my draft crushes, and then Joe, I just want you to answer Ms. Deb's question because you probably got more in-depth knowledge about Kwity Paye than us, since you're a Michigan fan and had to throw your boy in there. But my draft crushes, again, I'm gonna stick with the defensive side of the ball. I usually love to watch for the wide receivers, and there are some really good ones in this draft. The only one I'm high on is Jamar Chase. Jalen Waddle is a speedster, but I don't know if he could be a number one. Devontae Smith, he's also a speedster. He had a great year, but he reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson. I don't know if he's a full number one either. You guys talked about Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to reset the tight end market. When his contract is up, he's going to reset the tight end market. If he goes to the right system and they utilize him properly, if he goes to San Fran or if he goes to New England and they utilize him properly, he might be the first tight end we see between the $20+ million because he literally can do everything. He's a matchup nightmare all over the field. A lot of Niners fans are like, well, we don't need him. We have Kittle. We want tight ends in our system. Kyle with Kittle and Pitts is going to be absolutely nuts. You never know where either one of them are going to line up on any given play. And with all the motions that he does, he'll move Kittle, then he'll move Pitts, then he'll move Kittle again, then he'll move Debo. Like, you have no idea where the play is going to go. I think that just gives another dimension to Kyle. But my two draft crush. Go ahead, Nick.
Look, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just thought of this because I just seen today a place to look out for Kyle Pitts going to is New Orleans.
Ooh.
And because they just got rid of Jared Cook and their other tight end.
Now, I would say that would be a good destination for him if Drew Brees wasn't retiring. Now, we don't know. He said he's going to. He hasn't officially declared that he's retiring. If somehow Drew Brees comes back, then I think that's a great fit. You put him in that system with Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas on the outside. I think that's also another perfect fit for him. But my two draft crushes are corners. And y'all know we need corners. Depending on what happened with Trent Williams, we may have to go and, draft a tackle to replace him because our offensive line is bereft of talent as is. But my two draft crush in this draft are Caleb Farley and J.C. Horn. Caleb Farley may be the number one corner off the board. Depends on if folks like, Pat Surtain is second over him out of Alabama. But Caleb Farley is 6'2", 210. He's going to run a 4.3 at his pro day. He's quick. He's shifty. He's got great feet. He's aggressive. He comes up and he tackles. He's not afraid of contact. The kid is just I think he's the full package right now. He's still going to have to develop and learn the NFL game, but the kid is ready to go right now. J.C. Horn, I love him just because of his tenacity. If you watch football, if you listen, you're hearing the last name Horn. J.C. Horn is the son of former NFL player Joe Horn, longtime wide receiver for New Orleans Saints. If you know anything about Joe Horn, he was a competitor. He was tough. He was a fighter. He had a nasty streak. And if you look at JC is the spitting image of his dad on the football field. JC don't play. He's tough. He's gritty. And I think in our defense, we can't go wrong if we draft either one of those corners. Hopefully they fall to us on the board. Hopefully we can bring back Trent Williams and not have to focus on an offensive tackle that early, so we can miss out on an offensive tackle early and may get, a guard or a center if we don't get Alex Mack in the second round. Landon Dickerson, Creed Humphrey, they'll probably be available in that second round. Maybe we could bring one of those guys in at center if we don't get Alex Mack. But if we can grab one of them two corners, I'll be happy. Joe, real quick.
I think both those corners are going to be there at 12, by the way. But
you think?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm cool with that. Now, the only thing that'll frustrate me is if we don't take one of them. If we don't take one of them, then I'll be frustrated. Joe, real quick, give Miss Deb your thoughts on Kwity Paye out of Michigan. What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you think he does well? What do you think he needs to improve on?
What's good with Kwity Paye, what you don't see from college kids most of the time, is he has a high motor. He was a pass rusher in college. Like, he got around the edge and he came after the quarterback. He has a high motor. So he can step into the NFL and give you 7 to 8 sacks, depending on who's next to him on the defensive line early. He reminds me of Unique Ngakwe from Baltimore, he's in Minnesota, got traded to Baltimore. He's kind of like that move, but he's a high motor kid. He's ready to go. That's why he's, I think, number 1 on some draft boards, number 2 on other draft boards behind Gregory Rasul. But at 12, if he's there at 12, we take him at 12. We can plug him in day 1, and he's going to be good for us. And good for Nick on the other end. And good for Javon Kinlaw, and hopefully Armstead up front. So I like him. And I like him at 12.
You forgot one name in there, D Ford. He'll spell D Ford too.
Listen,
bro, as much as I hate it,
and I agree with you 110%. I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and keep him around.
All right. Let's say we keep him. This is something that y'all do on Nothing But Niners. So, Nick, this is for you. Over and under snaps for over under 250 snaps. D Ford next season.
Way under. Way under. I don't even think he breaks 100 snaps.
Listen, I don't think he has any snaps. If we keeping it a bean, I don't think he has any snaps. I don't think we see him with that 55 jersey on the sideline.
The best case scenario for the Niners would be, obviously I need to see what the numbers are, but retirement. I don't know what the retirement numbers would be. But if he is truly screwed up with his back, he needs to really think about that, because that's not
his neck. I thought he had the same neck injury that Cam Chancellor had.
Well, it's my neck, my back. It's both of them.
I think it's been both. I think it's, at first the report came out it was a back injury. Then it came out to his neck. Then it was he was getting shots in his neck, but his back was still hurting. So there was I think it's both. And it's all in the same cervical system. So
it's still, you're right.
But it's just, I need to know what the numbers are for retirement, because the Niners can't eat $11.4 million this year.
That's a guy that's in a sweatshirt and sweats all season.
Right. So if COVID didn't happen, I think we would have ate that money, because the cap space would have been up. But with COVID happening and cap space going down $40 or $45 million, that's a huge loss. $11 million isn't bad in a regular cap year.
Yeah.
But when you're losing $11 million in a dead cap year, when you're only going into $14 million, you need to keep $10 million out for draft picks.
Yeah.
You need to. what the Niners really need to do right now is they need to figure out Jimmy Garoppolo. They need to restructure, extend, cut, trade, do whatever they need to do with Jimmy Garoppolo to free up money. And it's sad because $27 million for a quarterback is not a lot in the NFL.
He's a bargain for us.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But it's just that's where money is right now, So it's just the Niners need to figure out. But I don't think he plays, like I said, maybe 100 snaps, maybe 150 if healthy. That's if he doesn't retire, right? So I think you're going to be right. I don't think he plays anywhere near 250, and you could be possibly right. He doesn't play any. Yeah. That doesn't mean that he doesn't play any, that he's not still here, as in the team would want him here, but he's retiring. So that's where we're at right now.
I don't see him playing 200 snaps, and I don't see him retiring because I think he's going to want to stay on the roster just to get that money. Especially if he has to retire due to injury. This is his last contract. That's millions his last, well, not his last paycheck, but.
And it's going to suck because what happens if he fails his physical? You're stuck with that $11.4 million that you're paying him. You're not going to be able to trade him. You're not going to be able to cut him. You're losing that $11.4 million. So now you need to make the decision like, well, if he fails his physical, you're screwed either way. You're eating $11.4 million.
So we got to hope that he can get somewhat healthy and give us some snaps.
Yep. That's what we, as Niners fans, we have to think about. We can't keep thinking about, well, D Ford, just cut him, because he can't do that. You just can't do that right now. You can't eat $11.4 million right now. You have to hope that this guy passes a physical so you don't owe him that injury guaranteed money. Do a restructure again to where you're lowering his cap space this year and you can save money by keeping him on the roster compared to trading him with an injury and getting rid of him. So those two players they need to figure out. Same with Weston Richburg, because Weston Richburg has an injury guarantee too. And this guy hasn't.
No, I think I seen today that he has no guarantees left on his contract.
I think it'll be $8 million. So I just saw this. I'll actually pull it up real quick. Give me a second. Weston Richburg has an $11.4 million cap hit in 2021. So if released before June, the 49ers will save $4.5 million of that per over the cap. With a post-June 1st designation, the savings would jump up to nearly $8 million. So are you going to hold on to him until after the draft and after June 1st?
Yeah.
Then cut him?
There's no way he just had hip surgery.
Yeah. So he's not
no way going to be ready for the start of the season. There's no way he's ready for any kind of camp.
Right, but then you have to look at it as what type of money there is injury money. How much if you cut him because of injury, they still get a certain amount of money. Right. I just don't know what it is. I'd have to look at what it is. And there's a lot of things that we can't find out. True contract statuses, it's just hearsay. So I don't know. I just know D Ford's is somewhere in the $11 to $12 million range.
I think it's 11.
Yeah.
No, 11. It is 11. Under contract notes on Over the Cap, it says his 2019 and 2020 salaries are guaranteed for injury, and we will become fully guaranteed on April 1st of that year. So his whole contract is guaranteed for injury.
So we got to hope that he gets someone else to give us something. Something.
Or else we got two players taking up $20+ million and roster spots not producing.
What is his cap hit this year? What is D Ford's cap hit?
Let's see.
Like 6 or 7?
Hold on, let me pull it up. D Ford's cap hit this year is 2021. His cap number is $20 million. So I apologize. It's not. We're talking about $30 million.
Yeah, I was going to say because Jimmy's 27, 23.
His base salary is $15.1 million. His bonus is 4.7. So his cap number for 2021 is $20 million.
Yeah. So you're saving $9 million with the injury guarantee. You would save $9 million, but you're losing $11 million.
Yeah.
So you're technically you're only gaining $2 million.
I'm okay with restructuring Jimmy. I'm not okay with extending him.
Well, sometimes with those extensions and restructures, you have to extend it a year or two so that you can backload the contract to where you're not taking if you just go in and restructure right now, you would probably only get this year in savings, as into where next year you actually save more money by getting rid of Jimmy next year compared to this year. So if you extend him, you would possibly get 2 more years of cheap money and then have an option out before those years come. So I think you should extend him if you're going to draft a quarterback. Not that quarterback's going to play long under him, but you get him ready, and then you have that out, and you cut Jimmy Garoppolo to where you have no cut him or trade him, whatever you want to do. Because, I mean, right now he's your best bet that's on the roster. He is
the most sure thing we have at quarterback. Right.
So it's just and like I said earlier, I don't think $27 million is a lot for what he does. Like, he's a quarterback. You know, it could be a lot worse. I mean, you're looking at Shaun Watson, them are $50 million, right?
But he only owed 15 this coming season.
Right. Deshaun is only 15 this year, but they have a $50 million cap hit this year.
Right.
If they lose him. And that's a lot of reasons why he hasn't been moved too.
Yeah. That's probably number one reason why he hasn't been moved.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Miss Debbie says, will Jimmy take $20 million with incentives? I think that's the kind of deal that they need to do. I think they need to do, a $20 to $21 million or make it the same amount of money that he's making career-wise right now a year, and then put incentives in there. So those incentives are if you play 11 games or 12 games or you win a playoff game or, you're 4,000 yards, make incentive bases in there too. Right now he had guaranteed money, and it's just, it's another, quarterback that's just going around the league that's going to end up making money. Josh Rosen, for God's sake, has made over $35-40 million and hasn't even played a full season in the NFL. So you should – a lot of contracts nowadays are starting to be more incentive-based because of the fact that they can make more money. And Richard Sherman kind of started that, as in, I'm going to bet on myself. Why do I need to pay somebody else? I'm going to put these incentives in there because then I know that it's on me to make that money.
Right.
I can't look at anybody else and say it's your fault that I'm not getting paid this money. So a lot more incentive-based contracts are coming out, and that may be something they look at to do with Jimmy and say, hey, look, we love you, because they obviously still like him, but we love you, but this is what we need to do because we're hurting for money right now, and we need to get people in here to make you better and the team better, like Tom Brady kind of did, take a salary cap good contract, but then make it incentive based and make it, okay, you play all 16 games, you get an extra $2 million. This is how you get to $27 million. If you don't, we're only paying you $15 million.
Yes.
Your incentives aren't there. So I would definitely look into doing that with them.
But if we can get an upgrade, we got to get an upgrade.
Oh, yeah. It has to be an upgrade. It has to be an upgrade.
Has to be an upgrade.
It can't be, we think, like, I like Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold would fit perfectly in this system, right?
But we can't give up Jimmy for Sam Darnold.
Right. We can't say he's going to be better because we don't know.
Right.
If you say Deshaun Watson, yeah, I'm taking that 100% of the time. But I'm not taking a Sam Darnold. I'm not taking a Matthew Stafford. Like, I was happy that we didn't get a Matthew Stafford because I don't feel that while he's a great quarterback and he's been hoaxed in Detroit, he still has a lot of injuries. He's been injured a lot. And are you getting an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo in talent-wise when on the field Jimmy is Jimmy has won some games and took us to a Super Bowl. Whether we like to say it or not, he's done what has been asked of him.
What Stafford would have gave us, though, is Stafford would have gave us a veteran which can see the field. We don't think Jimmy sees the entire field most of the time.
Yeah. No, this is true. This is true.
Yeah. So we get a quarterback that sees the field. We get a stronger arm quarterback. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying it had to be somebody that's a significant upgrade for me. But I'm 100% with you. If you find an upgrade, you should be calling on every quarterback that's out there.
Yeah.
You should be. If you're not doing your due diligence as a head coach and a general manager. So, but yeah.
All right, fellas, man, let's wrap this up here because we could be on here for another 2 hours talking about our Niners. We starting to sound like our group text talking about our team. This is not a 49ers podcast. I don't want to take too much topics from NBN. You know what I'm saying? Nick, you'll be using up all your good information on this show. But for everyone who tuned in tonight to our first live episode, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. Again, these faces that you see, Joe, Nick, these will be frequent guests. I don't even want to call them guests. Frequent hosts with me on Mose Knows, and you see the title, Mose Knows. Joe knows too. Nick knows as well. You'll see a lot of these guys on this show. During the off season, we may not have too many live shows just because we're waiting for content to happen. You know, as players are traded, once free agency starts and we have, old faces in new places, we'll have some more content. I'll try to bring some live shows with different guests based on some of the team-specific mock drafts I'm doing. You can hop over to YouTube and catch those. Right now, we're up to episode 4, the Atlanta Falcons. I might have my cousin Zach on. He's a Falcons fan, so I may have him talk about, the draft that I did, things that he sees with his team, stuff that he might want to do differently. But again, we appreciate you stopping in. Stay tuned for more content, and we'll catch you on the next show. Peace.
Peace.